Well, I want to welcome you to Teaching Leadership 839. It's a course called Techniques for Secondary Teaching, and I think it's going to be a wonderful semester because we're going to look at over 50 some different objectives that will look at what it's really like to teach in the secondary school. And every time I teach one of these courses, I'll learn new things just like you will. What we're going to try to do in this short intro video is to look at 6 questions typically all of us want to know when we begin a course. How do you use this Canvas online management system, and how's it organized so that I can be successful? And secondly, how do I use the syllabus, the text, the videos, and the PowerPoints, how they operate? And then third, how do I turn in my assignments? How do I complete them? How do I use drop boxes? And who's in this course with me? And then what type of person am I going to be dealing with over these 16 weeks? And 5, what am I going to be doing in this course, especially so I can get an A? And how do I know I'm really that I'm being successful? So I'll try to answer these 6 questions in this short intro. First of all, you're on Canvas, or you wouldn't be watching this, and if you look in the top right corner, you'll find there'll be a list of topics, items. Let's go through these one at a time. On the home page, you'll find sort of intro. We're talking about the course, the objectives, the textbooks, and your instructor. Of course, each time you visit many of the pages, you're going to find our pet mascot. He's going to be giving you advice along the way, so you might click on him. It's a Voki Vivitar. Kind of fun to see what he says about what each of these pages are going to be doing. But you might read over this, the very first thing that you need to do to understand kind of how this course is structured and laid out. Another thing that you find on that left-hand column is the weekly announcements. These will come through your email if you've set it up that way, and it will keep you on track. It's very wordy, but it will highlight those things you need to get done this week and what the purpose is. So make sure you pay attention to these, because any class changes I'll do through the announcements page. The syllabus page is something I do want you to read and download. Syllabus looks a little bit lengthy, but it gives you all the information that you need to know to be successful. You can simply download by going to this little document up here in blue and top. You can either read it in the screen here, or you can download it, but I think it would be best if you had it by your side as a physical piece of paper. Below that, you'll find all of your topic, all of your assignments, when they're due, and even record what the points were when you finished them. So it helps you keep track. It's a very neat little apparatus to help you keep track of all of your assignments. In the syllabus, when you download it, one of the important keys there is the very last portion of the syllabus, where it will talk about what you do in each week. It will give you the objectives. We have 52 objectives in the course, and they're each divided by modules. And so it'll give you in this case, the 4 things that you should be able to do at the end. It'll ask you to do several things, typically to read and to watch the PowerPoint and some videos, and then to do your several assignments. So of course, we'll talk about the book in a minute, but each module will have a chapter to read, PowerPoint, some videos to watch, and then a quiz, an activity, and a discussion board. So they're pretty well, once you do the first module, they're pretty well structured so that they're easily to maneuver. In the 4th area, you'll find the module section. This is where you spend most of your time. All your module material will be outlined for you, as you can see here. The very first thing is the things to do, and we'll talk about that in a minute, but you want to click on it, and it'll tell you exactly how to do your first week module, and what to assess, and what to do. But very neat little apparatus to operate. Everything that you need other than your textbook is is in the module section. If you're taking this an online course for the first time, you might want to visit the Canvas Introduction module. It's in the intro section, the very first week section, and it goes through 7 or 8 different little sessions that will help you navigate your way through the Canvas learning management system. Your text is going to be new this year. It's going to be something you're going to have to get, because your quizzes and your activities will be based on material in each of the chapters. But you can get it in 2 forms. You can buy it through the bookstore or Amazon. It's called Teaching in the Middle and Secondary Schools. It's in its 10th edition. It was published last year for the 10th time. But they've updated 2 of the chapters. The price is steep. It's $150. You might buy it used for a lot less than that at the bookstore or on Amazon. But I think an even better option for those of you that love technology, you can get it online there. It is a online textbook from Course Management, eCourse Managements, and it will cost you, I think, around $59, and you can use that textbook for 180 days, and it's pretty easy to negotiate. You can put it on your iPad. You could even read it if you have certain apparatuses on your phones, and it looks just like your regular textbook. You can highlight, you can print off things. So the e-copy of the textbook is probably, if you want the cheaper route, is the way to go. So read your syllabus, see how you would get on and purchase that. Your text we're going to have 11 modules in the class, and it will cover 11 of the chapters. And if you look at how it's structured, it kind of looks at the broad spectrum of what the secondary school is like in America, and the first 3 chapters, and then it will get into actually or in the first 2, and then the second 2 it will look at the way you might manage kids, what they're like, the type of kid that we're seeing in the American classroom. And then you'll look at 3 chapters dealing with lesson planning, 5, 6, 7. And here we'll be having you do some things to get you started with lesson planning and unit planning, and many of you are already practicing teachers, but this hopefully will give you some new ideas to plan. And then we'll look at strategies in these 3 chapters on from direct instruction to all kinds of technology assisted instruction. So a lot of neat ideas will come from that. And then last chapter is on assessment and reporting student achievement. So pretty well the gambit of a general overview of teaching in the secondary school. As you look at each of the module sections, the very first thing we'd like for you to look at is the things to do item. It'll tell you exactly what to do in each module. It'll give you the objectives, what to read, what, if you like PowerPoint, what to watch, and what your chapter quiz will be like, and then what activity that you're going to be doing in the class. And it will end with your discussion board, either questions or activities that you're going to participate in. Each of the chapters does have a PowerPoint with it. It's not narrated, but for those of you that are global learners that like to see the big picture, they're sort of easy to kind of summarize, look through and summarize the key concepts of each of the chapters before the quiz. In each section also you'll have a video, 1, 2, or 3 videos to watch. I do ask you to watch those sort of supplement the discussion, especially when it comes to what you're going to be asked to do as an activity. So look those over. They range from anywhere from 2.5 minutes to an hour long. Sometimes in those hour longs, if you want to watch those before you go to sleep, it might be a good way to put you to sleep. But and you might skip over the parts that you already know or don't seem that interested. Yeah. When you have assignments, one of the things that's consistent throughout the course is that at the end of each chapter you'll be asked to do a discussion board, and this is done after you've read and viewed the chapter material. You're asked to apply to the material to your teaching situation. Many times I'll give you two questions to choose from, and you can choose which one to answer in a brief paragraph, and then we'll ask you after these are posted 2 or 3 days before it's due for you to go in and read what others have said and at least respond to at least 5 of them. We do use a rubric to evaluate that discussion board, but these are kind of fun because you get to see other people's thinking, that we're not all the same, and it's not really right or wrong answers. It's just different perspectives, and so we want to see what those are. So when you do respond, I'm going to ask you to ethically interact with your classmates. So be professional, and I'll ask that you kind of follow, as you find in your syllabus, these numerous things as you interact. Again, for each of the assignments that you have, you'll be graded by rubric. They're always going to be placed in your Dropbox so you can see exactly what the criteria will be and the like. So pay kind of particular attention to those as you respond to others and submit your work. When you do have an activity to submit, you'll be using what we call a Dropbox. You'll be writing your response in a Word file, and then you simply submit it when you're finished. You go to the right hand column of the Dropbox and it says submit assignment. You download it and then hit the submit button, and then it'll tell you if it's been turned in at what time, and it'll show you the rubric. And then once I've graded it, and I really do enjoy reading your various ideas, and we'll narratively give you some feedback there, and you can see your grade again in the comments that I make. At any time, if you want to redo it, resubmit it for another grade, that's fine. You've always got do-overs here. And then the third thing that you do as an assignment in each of the modules, you take a 30-question test. They're not designed to trick you. They are multiple choice, and usually 20 multiple choice and 10 true and false. And you can use your notes, you can use your text, but you do have a 45-minute time limit, so you can't look up everything. But they are the highlights, the general points that you should have understood from the chapter. Many of you will be, if you've taught before, will be able to go through and pretty well answer them sometimes without reading the text. But it will clarify a lot of times what you kind of need to know, important aspects from the chapter. After you finish, we'll show you exactly what you got right or wrong. I think it's an interesting way to make sure we're all on the same page. If you look at the next question, who's in this course with me, we're going to be asking you to, on the first day, to personally introduce yourselves, and the personal introduction drop box here. We'll ask you to write a brief little paragraph and share what you want to about your family, your life, your background, if you're teaching at present, and if you can, if you feel comfortable, put a picture on there so that we can put a face with a name. And it's just one of the ways that we can start to make connections, so you know as you read the comments that they make on your submissions that you kind of put a face and a person with what that comment said. Also, when you introduce yourself, I'm going to ask that you make one true or one false statement about you. Some of these are in the past, and we're going to try to judge whether or not they're true or false. Um, One that I spent the better part of last summer writing a grant for a nonprofit organization focused on helping transgender ex-prostitutes leave life on the streets, and well, I guess that is false. I thought it was a pretty creative one, but that was a true statement for that person. Uh, Another one that I said was false. I have a pet pig. Well, she did have a pet pig. So it's kind of interesting if you, and it kind of gives us a handle upon who is who in the class. And I'll guarantee you'll remember some of the people by the true or false. So kind of fun way to do this, personal introduction. For example, when you watch my intro, I want you to decide whether or not I flunked the third grade and have been to Russia twice on a tour to teach at various schools, or have I biked across Kansas, bungee jumped off a bridge in West Virginia and placed second in the Fort Scott mud wrestling contest. And so, which one of those is true, or which one of them is false? Well, you'll find out when you watch my humorous instructor intro. How do you know who's in the class with you? Well, you're going to have under the people section on the left-hand column is all the people enrolled in your class. I kind of blanked out the names there so you couldn't see them, but you can correspond or communicate to anyone in your class through that page. Yes, and I'm sure you're going to know probably one or two of the people, because as I looked at my list, we've had several of you in some other classes. So that's the way you can communicate with others. Here is in the first intro, you'll find the instructor video that I do want you to watch. One of the things you're going to find out is that my wife and I lived through the Marshall plane crash at Marshall University. That's where we went to school. And we're really old. So it goes back to November 17th, 1970, when the plane did crash. And we did a NPR interview there that some found interesting. So I put it on there about what is true or what is false about the We Are Marshall movie. So look that over if you're interested. So what are you going to be doing in this class? This is what most of you wanted to find out about. This is a 3-hour course, and it's going to look at the sort of an introductory course for those of you that haven't taught mainly on the methodology, curriculum, and current research in the field of secondary teaching. A broad overview. And basically you're going to have 5 pieces of evaluation. The first one, you simply get 15 points for doing your personal introduction. But then on the sort of a lower level assessment on the 11 different modules, one of them won't have a quiz, but you'll take 10 quizzes. They're not, again, designed to trick you. You'll probably do well. You're probably average about 27, 28 out of 30. Those, I think, will make sure that you know the and understand the lower level information about teaching in secondary school. And then we'll ask you to apply it, and so each of the modules will have an activity for you to complete, and those will be kind of fun. I think the first one you do is a mission statement for an ideal school that you might want to teach at, and then it goes all the way up to you doing finding lesson plans, cooperative learning plans on different websites that you could actually use in your teaching. And then your discussion boards reflect upon it, ask you to synthesize, reflect, and evaluate the upper level of Bloom's taxonomy to different points in that assessment. So, and then lastly, I'm going to ask you, since I evaluated you, to evaluate me, and you simply, this is anonymous, I don't know who says what, but I just give you some points for doing that. So that's how it's constructed. It's sort of from lower level to upper level types of assessments. All of these can be found in the section under assignments. They're all listed for you. As you can see, these are the quizzes. You know how your grades are. It'll be posted for you, when it's due, how many points it's worth. Same thing with the chapter activities. It talks about which one you're going to be doing. Like for here, you're going to determine your multiple intelligence pie and share it with others. And once you've done that, you got the points. And then here are your different discussion boards asking you, for example, one of them you'll be doing your own little management plan. What are you going to be your rules and way of positive and negatively reinforcing those. So those are all listed for you under assignments. Your quizzes will look like this. Once you get started, you can't quit. That's one of the keys. I do want you to remember. But again, you got 45 minutes. So once you get started, you got to answer all 30 of those questions. So don't exit, because then it kind of just counts up what you've got done so far. So if there is some mistakes, we'll get those corrected, because this is the first time we've used these quizzes, so I might find some mistakes in them. So don't worry if something's totally wrong. We'll get that corrected as we go through the course. Again, on the chapter questions and activities, you'll be asked to apply the information. And if you look at them, like for example, you develop your own true mission statement with X outcomes for your school. You're going to take a Common Core position, because that's very controversial in Kansas and in other states. And then we're going to ask you to determine your own multiple intelligences. That chapter is going to look at how you teach to different learning styles. And it's kind of fun, I think, if we see what you look like and how you might use that in your classroom. And then you're going to develop your own individual student management plan for a kid using disciplinehelp.com. I think you'll find that highly useful for you. We're going to kind of make sure you understand how to do lesson plan objectives by the different taxonomies. And then you develop a class syllabus you could use for your class website, or to your kids, or even show to your parents. Those are simple ways to overview a class. And then to develop one lesson plan that's totally yours, and then to find a cooperative learning lesson plan on the internet. So show you that, gosh, we don't have to reinvent the wheel, that much of it's already out there for you. When it comes to the discussion boards, you're going to be sharing with your colleagues your ideas and your thinking about different items. For example, we're going to look at in the first two chapters about the big picture of the secondary school, and what do you think is one of the best reform efforts that is occurring now in our secondary school, and what do you think is a major issue in the secondary school. And we're going to find a vast array of answers there, so that's always stimulating and interesting. And then as you look through, you'll be presenting posting your lesson plan, and let others positively comment on it. And this is interesting too. You're going to find an integrated unit on the internet and share it with others. And boy, we'll come up with a bunch of different pretty neat units that are full packages that will have everything for you. Quizzes, the PowerPoints, videos, that will all be done, so you can simply take that unit and teach it if it's in your discipline area. So this is kind of a fun way that we can share what you're doing with others, and they can respond to you. When you do respond, or when you do put a paragraph together, I do want you to say something more than, oh, that was a great idea. I do want you to, and this might be a way to make sure that you back up your belief or your comments with support. I love the 3-8 paragraph structure. Here you open with a topic sentence which really states your position, and even in that, if you get real specific, you state your position with the 3 points that you're going to make to support that position. And then the second and third sentences will be the supporting documentation or explanation why you said the first point. Fourth and fifth will be the second reason for supporting and that with supporting documentation and explanation. And then your sixth and seventh is your third point, and then you conclude just like you started with what you're going to say. You conclude with what you said. So you're going to tell them. You're going to tell them, and then you're going to tell them what you told them, and then you're going to tell them again. So it's a simple way to respond to others and to in your first two discussion pages, you write your answer to the issues and the reform efforts. Again, each of these discussion boards will be graded by rubrics, and those will be listed for you every time you turn them in. The test will be easily kept track of through your grades. Everything is kind of listed by chronological order. You'll see what your grades are as soon as I grade them. I'll try to get those graded within 2 days of when you submit them. Other than the quizzes, I'll always make some narrative comments, and if you want to do it again, just resubmit it, and it pops up that's been resubmitted, and I'll regrade it. So to conclude, I'm going to have a lot of fun. If life gets in the way, as it many times does, and you're going to be late for something, just make sure through an email or a Canvas communication, and just tell me why you're going to be late, and usually that's fine. But you don't want to get too far behind, because you just, we're bang 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 all the way through on the 16 weeks. So try to stay up, but I know life happens, so just tell me if something's going to be late. Well, in essence, that's what the course is going to be like. You'll find out more as we go through it and you read the announcements, but I plan to have a real good time with you. I always do. I love to do this face-to-face. In fact, that's my preferred method of teaching, but we're going to do this one online, and I'll try to be as interesting and sometimes as comical as I can be. And you find that I throw in and sprinkle in a lot of little motivational videos. Some of them are humorous, and so I hope you appreciate those to maybe brighten your day. So have a good day and enjoy the class.